Hi. So I'm Stefano. I'm the head of the US at Virtuous Protocol, where we're building a society of AI agents. We have multiple products, but I think the one we're most known for is our Launchpad. The one we're spending most time on is our agent-to-agent commerce protocol. We're excited to talk about what's popping.
Thank you, Thomas. Are the guys joining us or?
Yeah, we're looking for them. They are here.
I know, they were just on stage. But we are continuing the discussion. They can just jump in. I hope
Right, yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Thomas. I am the host of the Agents Unleashed podcast, which is a spin-off of this event that you're all at. I work for Valory, the labs that creates Olas, and I'm very happy to be with you here today.
Hi, everybody. My name is George. I lead strategic partnerships at Zero G, or Zero Gravity Labs. I also help with our investment through the Zero G Foundation and our accelerator program. Been in the crypto space since 2017. Have a VC fund, have invested in a bunch of stuff, rug pulled a lot of times, but thankfully net positive. Zero G is building the world's largest AI L1 chain. It's EVM compatible. We have what we call a modular decentralized AI operating system. The operating system has 3 core components. The first is a decentralized storage network. The second is a decentralized compute network, and the third is a data availability solution. All 3 of that is bundled in the operating system. It sits on our L1 chain, and it's modular. So no matter what chain you're building on, you can tap into this modular infrastructure, and we're basically bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 AI and making AI a public good along the way.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Loud, and I also co-host a podcast with Zoe on TEE. It's called Spilling the Tea. And I'm also the executive director of Secret Network, where we build confidential infrastructure for AI, for decentralized AI. The dream is that we don't give our data away to Google or Anthropic or anybody. What we do is we keep our data personalized to ourselves, and we choose who and where to share it with. And in order to do that, you have to have good infrastructure for encrypted infrastructure, and we use the TEE secure enclave of the Intel SGX chip along with H100s to construct that infrastructure, and then we provide a confidential VM to our clients.
Thank you so much. And Renç and Michael, we just saw you on stage, so everyone knows you already. Thank you for making it, and thank you for being part of it. So as you guys saw already, it's a diverse panel discussion, very cool background everyone brings, privacy, security, consumer-facing apps in DeFi. I would like to start because it's what's popping in AI. What have you guys seen recently? Some of you guys are already here since several days, I think. Renç, I think you were on stage several times. Maybe to start with you, what is something that you have seen during the days here at DevConnect that's really popping by the end of 2025? Or maybe also best consumer-facing app.
Perfect. And on this panel, I will refrain from shilling Giza, so it will be like an intellectual one that we can all enjoy. One of the most interesting things I have seen is the desire and appetite for agents actually functioning, agents actually becoming an economical player, agents that move on from just chatbots or meme coins, agents that actually have a purpose. Like people are finally curious enough and excited enough and educated enough to look into intelligence and how it can be implemented in Web3. I think that's a huge breakthrough moment, and I think it's a super exciting moment for us to be here. Besides that, anybody who's trying to make crypto more human, I'm very, very passionate about, and I would love to hear more from them.
Michael, over to you, because you're already working on something very innovative.
Yeah, thanks. I think for me, it's seeing a lot of the pieces actually coming together. I troll online and I sort of browse everything that's happening, but actually seeing it all come together here with all the conversations and the momentum around 8004 and X402 and some of these pieces that bring together the agentic economy and make it real. I don't know if we're at the moment yet where A to A, public A to A truly starts to happen. But it does feel like we're at this moment now where we're sort of even capable of moving beyond single agents to sort of multi-agent swarms in some sort of a pre-existing context. And it probably won't be long before we end up in a situation where agents are autonomously interacting and transacting in the public.
how about humanoids? That's a very interesting topic I heard about on the Open AGI Summit already. I think, Stefano, you have something to add to this?
A humanoid, like, as in robots?
Exactly, yes.
Well, I think it's super early, but as a matter of fact, it's something we're actively looking at Virtuals. I think there's sort of many angles to it. Obviously, there's quite a lot of teams at the intersection of crypto and robotics, particularly on the software side, particularly on data collection, training the models, because obviously the models for robots are different than LLMs. And there's another angle that we're kind of excited around, which is actually on the hardware side, particularly for the more kind of like scrappy startups, that are working with a Bamboo lab and a Raspberry Pi and a bit of code. And how can we actually help them to access, capital markets on chain? So still thinking through the thesis, but we think there's something exciting there.
Cool. Thomas, anything that's popping in your head you would like to add?
Yeah, well, I would echo a lot of what Renç said. My main takeaway from the events that I've been to, and also the past couple of months of running the podcast, is that it feels like finally the attention is on this space in a way where people understand that it's actually worth the time and investment to build the tooling to make these agents do real and interesting things. Not just post on Twitter or generate images that are like aligned with your coin's meme brand. Like, I personally don't find that interesting because agents are capable of so much more. And what I really heard at the events that I went to today was really thoughtful, smart takes on what agents are capable of, and people really thinking about how their project can contribute to that.
Okay. That's cool. We discussed it here today already. Again, Pearl is a great example, right? Your agent's
Absolutely.
app store. But before we can actually build these agents, we need to see about the infra, right? And question over to you guys there on the infra side. Do you think the Web3/AI infra is complete? If not, are new toolings coming? How do you see the state by end of 2025?
Yeah, so maybe I'll go first. So definitely the Web3 AI tooling space is not complete. I think there's so much more that needs to be built out. At Zero G, when we first started out, we focused on the data availability side of things because if you want fast verification for fully on-chain AI, data availability is an important component. 70% of your ETH gas fees is actually due to the DA component of verifying that transaction. And so we were able to hyper-optimize our DA in the first round of our product development and got speeds 5,000 times faster than the current DA solutions. So that enables fully on-chain AI. The second thing is storage, right? Like the storage infrastructure currently, there's a lot of cloud providers that you all are familiar with, AWS, GCP, and then there's the decentralized ones. Both of them are actually not that great for a lot of AI use cases, especially if you're talking about, new founders with a little bit of funding and they just depend on credits, for example. And so Zero G storage is 80% cheaper than AWS. It's 100 times faster than the current decentralized solutions. And what it does is it's actually, partitions data into storage and publishing. It's infinitely scalable. It also has these storage nodes which anybody can run. So it's quite permissionless. And what we realized is, we have 400 projects building with Zero G. The number one integration point is the storage. And we realized that if you want to bring AI on chain, storage has to be optimized. It has to be cheap, it has to be scalable, and then of course it has to be secure. And so we've built all that stuff in there. And then when we talk about compute, right? This is another thing that decentralized compute is, you see a bunch of these providers like Aether, Hyperbolic, Gaib, all these guys. And then about, obviously on the centralized side, what we realized is if you want to actually have pure and full transparency on AI models, for example, like decentralized LLMs, what you need to do is you need to actually decentralize the compute. You need to decentralize the training itself. And so that way there's transparency on the model weights and biases, and you can actually have the community participate in the training of these models. And so our compute network with our service marketplace allows users, the community, you all, to participate in the training of AI models. And now if that AI model generates yield or revenue, for example, for a hedge fund, which we are speaking with several of these different enterprises, and it generates yield and revenue, you can actually, as contributors of this model, you can have a revenue share. And so now you get earned and you can earn income and yield on your data. And so that's the big unlock in Web3. And I think a lot of the infrastructure actually had to be scaled up. We started from the ground up, and then we have our chain. And the chain is hyper-optimized, again, for AI execution and settlement.
Cool, thank you. We're building that whole tech stack as an L1. But Lisa, how about from the privacy security space?
Yeah, I just have a question for everyone. Who has seen increased activity and attention on privacy in the last few weeks?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I think privacy's moment is now.
Yes.
And if ever there were a time for us to realize the importance of privacy in AI and in agents, it's now. So I feel like our moment has come where everything that Zero G is building is really cool, and we're working on a partnership. What we're working on, rather than the storage, we're very focused on the encryption. How do we encrypt all of this? All the traffic, all the prompts, all the data that goes into the models for training, all of that is where we're focused, because privacy is important, and maybe now it will change from being a fringe thing to being the default normal thing, like it did with the internet eventually. So yeah, that's what we're working on, is the encryption aspect of agents and AI.
Very important for the tech stack. Guys, anything to add from you, and for how the infra will evolve?
I think all of these things are quite fundamental components. Data, latency, privacy, verifiability. Like, it's great to see these things picking up. At the same time, I would encourage everybody to not think about the things that we lack, but also the things that we do have, which is quite complementary to build agents, to innovate, you know. In Web3, we kind of love creating problems and then act like we are the solution to it. There is key fundamental pieces, as he mentioned, like the 402, the 8004, there's like a bunch of crazy things happening. So don't limit yourself to like what we don't have, because there's a lot of exciting stuff to create with what we do have today that can be like mind-blowing and changing. So that would be my main message.
But to challenge this again also a little bit, everything that we have changes so fast, right? I mean, the principles of building an AI agent is changing every 3 months. So the question to you guys, how do we, or you especially as experts also in the space, stay up to date? And what would you recommend builders that should build on your protocol or with your tech stack to actually stay up to date? Because this is really a challenge that we have if we want to use what we have right now. Stefano?
I think, I think the best way to do it is just to actually just start building and just build, right? Because a lot of times, in my experience, I 50% of what I do is talking to builders every single day and answering questions, talking about virtuals, evangelizing about ACP, et cetera. And one thing I've noticed is that, what was it? Donald Rumsfeld famously said 20 years ago, the unknown unknowns, right? So there's a lot of things that teams just don't know until they start to build, until they realize like, oh, we're missing this, this module. Oh, we actually need this type of solution, right? And so I've seen some teams, actually, there's a really interesting team I know, not building an agent, but building 4 agents called Cambrian Network. And it kind of came about as they were seeing all these agents in the space and kind of understanding some of their needs and realizing, there's actually a white space here to build, missing infra. And I'm sure there's many more that we haven't even thought yet.
So stop researching, start building, kind of. I mean, always stay up to date, of course, guys, but we need to do something. Thomas, would you like to add?
Can I say the Agents Unleashed podcast?
Yes, great, please.
No, I mean, but unironically. And then also I would say it can be very helpful to network, because you often have conversations where just in the course of getting to know each other, you're going to learn about something that you didn't know existed before. All of that is nice. Listening to the podcast is also great. But actually, I completely agree with you. The easiest way to figure out what you need to do next is to begin.
Maybe one thing I would add to that as well is that we realized this about a year ago, is that, I think 18 months ago, people were thinking like, oh yeah, we're going to have these agents and one agent's going to do an end-to-end workflow for their human master or their prompter or whatever, right? And we very quickly realized that actually very much like humans, agents are becoming highly specialized at what they do, right? And I think as a builder, part of it is thinking like, well, what should I build for, and who do I need to collaborate with, right? So if I have this great idea and I'm building this agent that's going to do this particular task or part of a workflow really, really well, then who else do I need to talk to? Who do I need to collaborate with?
Yeah, and we are in the right space here this week to do this. All outside. I think you guys did network already. So when we move from like the agent into the application level a bit up, we need to talk about data also. Unstructured data, data analytics, very important part, or a challenge also within building consumer-facing applications. Would like to hear from you guys again, Michael and Renç. What are some challenges and proven examples that we can learn from? What unstructured data or data analytics, what kind of role they play in building applications?
Yeah, I think obviously like the quality of AI is dependent on the data it can consume, the inputs it can use to sort of make its decisions, the amount of context it can have. And so, I think as we think about agents and what they're capable of, like, of course, they are data hungry. But also, not only that, but the types of data that they output and can use to improve themselves. I think like we heard it on a previous panel also, but every time they're interacting with the world or every time they're sort of like observing what has happened, how do they re-input that data into their own learning process to improve? I think like as agents are these looping things, it's not just like looping on a task until it finds a solution. It's also awesome if those agents start looping on their own intelligence to get better over time. And I think like once we get to that sort of state where data is not just an input or an output, but also a re-input, then I think we'll start to see intelligence really accelerate.
Yeah, I'll say something. Majority of the data in the world is unstructured data, but that data is actually really important. I think it's like 80% of the world's data is unstructured. So like social sentiment data, trading data, scientific data, all of that stuff is unstructured. And so AI models, and therefore AI agents, they actually depend on a constant ingress of this type of data, and the models get better with the more data generally, right? There can be data pollution, there could be model drift, which is a phenomenon that occurs during the training when some biases and some other data comes in and moves the model a little bit, and then it reduces the accuracies. But if we were to talk about what is the next evolution of unstructured data on chain, I think Zero-G is pretty good at this because our storage nodes and our compute marketplace actually enables unstructured data to come through. You can host it, and then you can put it into models and then do the training. And so I think decentralized solutions can actually help because anyway, the majority of the world is generating unstructured data every day. We might as well put that into a decentralized network, monetize it, put it in a model for training, and then have some actual useful utility with that data. So we have DeFi trading agents, we have longevity DeSci agents that are taking in your wearable data and compiling it and giving you life advice on what to do and how to sleep better and all these type of things. Like the examples are endless, right? And so all of those things need a constant flow of data. And so that's why we're really happy that there is an interest in this. And then there's a lot of applications I've met even here at DevConnect that are looking to monetize people's data and incentivize them to continue contributing. And so that's actually really cool. I think blockchain solves this problem of incentives and the cold start and monetization.
Okay, so if we figured out the infrastructure, what kind of agent framework we use in the unstructured data, now let's discuss what kind of agents we're actually building, right? Are we building agents very smart that can actually out-trade or outvote us on chain? Are we heading there, or if they're not verifiable or not controllable, or are we actually building very kind and warm on-chain friends that are just doing whatever we tell them to do? Would like to hear, there can be controversial answers, of course, from your side, some examples and your personal opinion. Lisa would like to say.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I think I'm going to take a slightly different take on this. I think we're building warm, fuzzy agents, but my concern with AI is that we're building agents that represent our ideals, like how we want the world to be. We're not building agents that actually deal with the real world. Like these deep fakes that we're seeing, I notice something in common with them. They're things like a baby and a dog howling together, or a tiger and a squirrel hugging after a fire. They're things that we would like as humans to be true, and they're not true. So sometimes I worry that our idealism carries us away when we start to build agents. And I'd like to see more agents that are practical. Like I have an example, Privex, that does agents that help to make Web3 more easy to use for normies, for non-crypto people. Things like that, I think, are much more interesting use cases where it's a practical efficiency optimizer rather than taking us into a nirvana that doesn't exist.
Okay, but are they going to be smarter than you? Or less smarter? Do you want to control them or not?
I don't think they're close to being smarter than us. Until we get to AGI, I don't think there's real consciousness there.
Yeah.
So I'm not that concerned about it. They're better at certain tasks, though.
We build financial agents because finance is the biggest and maybe the only product market fit of blockchain and crypto to date. So we need to start where we have, expertise over, and in terms of, why we're building them, how they are being built. The reality is that the markets that we operate on are quite outdated. The financial structures that we have are quite outdated. The other thing that is outdated are humans acting on financial markets and how we act on financial markets. We don't have the capacity to digest thousands of lines of code and make split-second decisions. This is why we're building financial agents. The interfaces that we use to interact with finance are outdated. This is why we're building agents that takes away the complexity. We are focusing on the biggest product market fit of crypto. We are focusing on how to make it even bigger, and we are focusing on how to make it more intelligent and disciplined. This is why we focus on the kind of agents that we're building. And I think everything besides that, we need to be a bit careful about speculation, because this is exactly what we did when blockchain came through. We were all hospitals are going to run on blockchain. Governance are going to run on blockchain. And it has been decades. And so we need to be pragmatic, we need to be realistic. It's great to dream, but we need to take it one step at a time. That's why I was prompting to understand what we have today, the problems we have today, and solve them. And they will create a huge impact that will allow for bigger problems and bigger adoption to come.
I have 3 AI agents, and they fit into both of the 2 categories. I have some that I think are smarter than me and some that are not as smart as me. And they perform different things. I mean, 2 of them are from the Pearl application, which you heard my colleague Tanya talk about, one that participates in prediction markets on my behalf, and another one that manages capital on DeFi. And then the other one that I can talk about is one that's outside of Web3, but by far is the most integrated into my day-to-day life. It's an agent from a San Francisco startup called The Interaction Company. It's called Poke. Maybe you saw it. It had a very ridiculous video go viral. And it has an insane onboarding, by the way, where you have to convince it to let you use it, and then you have to haggle on the price. And I would invite anyone in the room to see if you can beat my score, which is I pay 1 cent a month for it. And this took 1 hour of chatting with the model. But what it does is it basically has access to my calendar and my email, and it reminds me about important things. And it's in some ways smarter than me. I texted it for a dossier about Buenos Aires, and I told it everything that you need is in my work email, and it gave me everything that was going to take me, maybe 15 or 20 minutes to put into a Google Doc. However, when I asked it to find all of the events that I have tickets for, it couldn't find them because of the way that the emails are formatted. So in a sense, I have agents that are smarter than me. I don't know if I could trade DeFi as well as my Olas agent does, but my personal assistant agent, it's very much like using an LLM. Sometimes they're incredible and they make you feel like the future is now. And then other times you ask them to distribute 200 points to come up with 1,000, and they award 1,020, which is a real example. So, we have a long way to go, but the bones are definitely there. And, I know I'm not the only one in the room who's using real agents.
Super cool example. Thanks for sharing.
So I want to say that, actually I had all these thoughts in my mind trying to make it really spicy, but maybe keep it simple. So the reason I joined Virtuals is because I've been in crypto over 5 years, and you go to these conferences that are just like every month the same regurgitation of whatever the flavor of the day is, right? And think about it, like crypto UI UX still sucks. I hope MetaMask is not a sponsor of this event, but MetaMask is like the shittiest product that exists, and it keeps on getting worse. And to me, what drew me to virtuals and to agents is that I think one day, who knows when that will be? Yeah, one day they might be better than us at trading or doing whatever. But I think in the short term, what they can do is to basically, be a better UI and be a better UX for not just for the 30,000 people that go to the same conferences every month, but to just a general population. And I'll give you an example. And there's not many of these, by the way, but there's a team, and they launched an agent on virtuals back in February. They actually hacked it at a hackathon. And it's called Mamo, and it's a team behind Moonwell, fairly well-known DeFi protocol. And so they basically built an agentic version of this, and it's super simple. You can go to mamo.bot, and it looks like a fintech app, right? It doesn't talk about AI, it doesn't talk about crypto, and it's very sleek. It's got a very fuzzy, cute little mascot. And it says, 3 steps to financial freedom, or whatever their motto is or tagline. And it's, you deposit money, you click a button, and you just watch your money grow. And it's fantastic. And I really wish we would see more of that. Like, I don't think the AI needs to be better than us yet. I think it can be used just to make the UI better and actually onboard billions of people, which we've been trying, or we've been talking about it for like 10 years.
Great example.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, wouldn't it be nice to know when AI is better than us and which AI is good at what things? And so, I mean, I guess a little subtle shill here for recall. But I mean, I think in reality, there's still an opacity to just like knowing which AI tools are actually good. And like, how do you know if Poke is the best calendar assistant manager? It's like, they have the most viral onboarding. We know that. We know their marketing is good, but like, is it functionally the best? And I think, when we collectively can have a better concept of like, which tools should we use for which job, and how are we hiring the right AI for the right things, I think we'll all be much more successful with the tools. I think, some people try to go use one product that says it can do a thing and it doesn't do it well, and you're like, I could do this 10 times better. So they kind of just like shelf that whole use case for a while. Or they try a few products and it's like, well, AI is not that good yet. Well, like the corner of the internet you looked for that AI in might not be that good, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're not there. So I think crypto and AI has come a long way, and AI outside of crypto has come a long way. And so I think, I'm not scared of a world where AI is smarter than us. I think there's frameworks for us to have guardrails of control in that sense, but I think in a lot of senses, it probably is.
And I didn't say that it's bad if it's smarter than us, right? You just want to see, okay, does it make sense to build something that's just like us on chain? We want to make it maybe smarter if we can control and verify it. But this is another security and privacy question that we can discuss in another talk. We are about to close the panel. I would like to give the audience, from your expertise, one more quick trend on 2026, what you would like to see as a special agent to be built or to see. Stefano, start with you and we go. Or Lisa starts. Yeah. You seem ready.
I need a bit more time to think.
Okay, then you have to start.
Okay, all right. No, I think it's still early, right? I think I think a few days ago we put together a dashboard on our website that shows what we call agentic GDP, and we believe, and I think it's easy to believe that agentic GDP eventually will surpass human GDP, and so we put a dashboard there, and it measures the value of like the transactions, so including TVL, including what agents are paying each other to work together without humans in the loop. And in 30 days, it's basically done like 120 or 130 million. And so we expect and we hope that in 2026, this is going to grow into the billions. And, it's a collective effort. I mean, we're just providing the platform. It's the builders out there of the agents that are actually really doing the hard work in building these agents and getting them to work together.
So you don't really have, I mean, you can't predict it, you don't have a specific interest, but I mean, it's okay for...
Billions.
Yes,
Billions.
Billions, okay, that's already a good answer. Thomas.
So it's what would I like to see next year?
Yes, the big trend, 2026.
I'll invoke a buzzword that I haven't heard that much at this conference, but personal context. I think that's something that an AI agent that's going to serve me really well needs to know a little bit more about me. And I think actually another thing that comes to mind is I would like people to stop thinking of AI agents UX as chat first. Because I think a truly useful AI agent is not something that I'm going to instruct in natural language, because you very quickly run into this problem of realizing you do not know what you need to ask for. And that's what AI is actually so good at, but we have to build the products without chat first. And like right now we're really stuck in like a chat model because of OpenAI, and God love them for it, it's been great. But I think an AI agent that's truly useful to me needs to be able to understand like what matters to me without me instructing it. So I'd like to see chat take a little bit more of a backseat.
Right?
Yeah, for me, it's in a similar context. Like I want a personal assistant agent that knows everything about me and that begins to delegate tasks. And I want to own that personal assistant agent. Like I want that to be mine, and I want it to know everything about me. I want to run it, and I want it to go find the right tools for the things it needs to do. It doesn't need to do everything, but like, even if it does that for a few tasks and we start to build those rails and that capability, that tells me like, we're really on the right track. I think everyone's gonna have their own assistant, and that's how the interaction pattern is gonna work for most people.
And you want to own it or rent it?
No, I for sure want to own it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't own my poke agent, by the way, and that's a huge problem for me.
All right.
Well, yeah, context and memory is the number one thing, because there's basically two levers you can pull when it comes to AI. The intelligence that has been being pulled over and over again, and the memory and the customization part makes it more relevant. Like intelligence without relevancy is like not going to do for you from this moment onwards, because intelligence is commoditized at the moment, which is a crazy realization. Until like the ChatGPT moment, intelligence was the most powerful thing. But now intelligence is commoditized, like in terms of everything that we discussed in this panel about like how do you keep up with AI? Is AI is going to be smarter than you? The most important thing that is going to define is agency, not agents, but agency in each and every one of you. Like how bad you want it, because all of the intelligence, all the tool is there for you to take it. So you need to decide how bad you want it. You need to define your agency, because that's going to be the number one superpower that we as humans have. How bad you want to achieve it, and you will all have the tools ready for you. In 2020, I think like in terms of financial operations, you will look back and think like, why the hell did I try to do this myself? Those are a few words.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everybody has said so far. Intuition, memory, context, all of that is going to be important in 2026. I'll add one more. I think community-trained models, right? Having the community participate in ownership and training of AI models, I think that's going to be at least a micro-narrative in 2026. And Zero-G has built a launch pad for this, and we're going to be having several sales where you'll get to actually participate. So one of the things that you may have seen in the ICO boom and the public sale boom is that people had to contribute capital. But what if there was a way to contribute something else, which is equally, if not more valuable, which is your data or your compute resources, your unused GPUs on your laptop? Why not contribute that, right? And if you don't have money. And so one of the things that we've come out with is a launchpad that allows you to actually help train the models that several of these applications building on Zero-G are running, and you'll be able to be active participants and you'll have rights towards revenue and tokens and benefits for doing this. So community trained models, I think, is going to be pretty cool. The community actually represents a diverse set of data, which will actually help the models get better. And so just like how community represents different demographics in the real world, we think the data that you generate on chain is also very, very, very diverse. And we want to have a lot of more data on chain, especially on our chain, and we want to contribute that for model training.
Okay, thank you. On a personal level, I agree with Thomas, and I would like to have less chat. I actually I'm going to say this, I know everyone's going to cringe, but I would love to be able to control the agent with my mind. Just like you can do with those robots, you know, you can move the hand around by having things connected. That seems so cool to me, and I know that's probably controversial. But from a larger perspective and my more mature side, I think I would like the agenda for 2026 to be all about privacy. I want this privacy narrative to continue, and I want us to accept privacy as the norm for all agents and all our interactions with AI.
Very good point. Very great closing point, Lisa, because if we want to make and build or use what we have to build, we need to make sure that everything is secure, right? So no other hacks are happening. That's maybe something we discuss next year as well. What's being hacked, how is AI being hacked, and can blockchain hopefully help us for this? And maybe that's something we discuss next year at Agents Unleashed. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your input.